Welcome to the Your Business Untethered podcast, a space for freedom seekers ready to build and scale a business that supports their wildest dreams, even while traveling the world. Hi, I'm Dina, creator of Way of the Founder and your host. I imagine this podcast as a space where aspiring and established freedom entrepreneurs come to forge a path towards purpose, financial freedom, meaningful impact, and location independence. I'll be your guide as we defy the norm, heal old conditioning, and step into the leaders we were born to be. I myself am a firstborn, a daughter of divorcee, sister, girlfriend, professional coach, nomad, and expat of a decade plus, as well as yoga aficionado and energy healer. In my previous career, however, I worked a 9-to-5 as a professional fundraiser for American orchestras. Can you believe it? However, I needed more. I needed more freedom in my life. So 5 years ago, I called quits on resume success and claimed back the reins over my own life. What started with a one-way ticket to Vietnam and a single backpack filled to the brim has since grown into Way of the Founder, where I've helped hundreds of clients defy and heal from the past that were told to follow, redefine freedom, fulfillment, and success on their own terms and build impact-driven businesses that let them live and work from anywhere. Join me each week for deep dives into leadership, strategy, and mindset, as well as feelings that fuel the untethered CEO. That's you. Whether you're building your dream with a coconut flight ticket, wine glass, or coffee in hand, you are in the right place. Let's dive in. And welcome back to another episode here at the podcast, Your Business Untethered. Today, I want to share with you what being a freedom entrepreneur really means to me and how I relate to it in the sense of my business and how I serve my clients. Now, to be quite clear, what you're not going to get from me in this episode or ever is a 3-step process to become a freedom entrepreneur. I have myself as a new business owner a few years ago being led through more or less a process of do this and now do that and then do that. And 3 years into owning this particular business, what ended up happening was I was burnt the fuck out. At that time, and this is about 2 years ago at this point, I was carrying a roster of about 15 one-on-one clients through the entire world. And that meant really funky sleeping schedules simply due to time zone differences. And that also meant complete lack of scalability. And in looking back on it, it was actually out of integrity with my own values even. So 3 years into building my business, having produced a lot of assets, having, spent a lot of time and money on the business, I found myself having to burn it all the way down and not start over because, of course, your network, your authenticity, your authority, you don't lose any of that. But there was a real sense of, okay, what I've been doing so far because people told me to do it doesn't work. It doesn't work for my vision. It doesn't work for my sense of freedom. And it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for my energetics, my body. So I'll share with you the 5 key ingredients that I have found to be absolutely crucial and completely life-changing for anyone who goes into entrepreneurship or is in entrepreneurship who is seeking freedom. Now, actually, I want to stay on this sense that you're not going to get, custom made or a follow my exact process to become a 6-figure freedom entrepreneur. You're not going to get this from me. And that's actually one of the core beliefs that I hold in my business and then that I impart on my clients as well. I truly believe that you are equipped with all of the inner resources that you need and that you are equipped with all of the wisdom that you need in order to reveal and fulfill your full potential and in order to truly create the life that you dream of. And that means that whatever process I'm going to give you, whatever 3-step approach I'm going to give you, whilst it may have worked for me and whilst it may have worked for the 10 previous clients, there's no guarantee it's going to work for you because you're a whole different person with a whole different set of values, with a whole different set of one personality, not plural, and with a whole different set of ideas for what you want your future to look like. So at best, my process is going to work for you, or my steps, if I had them, would work for you, but it's going to end you up in a future that looks more like my ideal future and less like your ideal future. So it would be a disservice of me. It would be dishonoring of me, of your innate resources, of your innate wisdom and your innate dreams to force you into some sort of framework that, again, works for me, but it doesn't work for you. Instead, my job as a coach and my mission with Way of the Founder is to bring you life, is to enable you, is to encourage and empower you to truly become someone who's fully referencing in every step of the way, both inside your business and outside, your inner sense of purpose, your inner sense of freedom, and your own expertise. So with that sort of being shared as the foundational, as the core belief for myself, my whole being, and frankly, this also comes from a sense of, just pure rebellion. Like, what the fuck? Like, just because your way of building a career works for you, like, how is that supposed to work for me? Like, there's no guarantee that your shit works for me. Like, let me have my own experience of life and then build a business around that experience of life. That being said, of course, there are some, good and best practices for any online business owner to consider, always with the caveat and always with my job being to help you to turn that best practice into something that's truly yours and into something that truly works for you. So with all of this being said, there are 5, let's call them 5 freedom entrepreneur ingredients that I live by, that I stand by, and that I presumably will die by. And these 5 ingredients, there'll be elements of freedom that you will have heard someplace else before. Some of these are just, common things. Like when we talk about a business, we have to talk about audience development. And some of these are things that a lot of my colleagues in the field truly do not talk about and do not touch, either out of just, authentic conviction, or because they haven't had the training, or because naturally their experience of life and thus their experience of how their business figures into life has been different than mine. So the first element, the first freedom ingredient is defy and define. And it's a yin and yang, right? There is a sense of when we step into freedom entrepreneurship, there's a sense of you have to defy. You have to defy societal norms. You have to defy a conditioning that society, that maybe even your parents have sort of put onto you. And you have to defy everything that you don't like, right? And this happens over and over and over again as we grow. If you're a business owner, there are going to be things that you have to let go of, that you have to defy, that you have to turn away from, that worked for you 5 years ago that no longer work for you. If you're someone who is transitioning from a 9-to-5 into full-time entrepreneurship, there are more tangible things for you to defy, right? You want to defy the employee's mindset. You want to defy probably everything that your boss stands for, probably everything that the sense of resume success stands for, right? So you're fully encouraged to really look at what are all of the things that are holding you back and how can you let go of these things? And that's a real process. That's the defying part of it. But again, this first element of freedom entrepreneurship is a yin and yang. It's a defy and define. So as you let go, you also have to redefine. Because you can't build a business saying, I'm building a business to get away from all of this. What you need to have is a North Star. What you need to have is a clear definition of what does freedom mean to you. You're now clear on these are all of the things that are in the way of creating freedom. These are all of the things that are contrary to freedom. They're restricting, they're suffocating me. Great. So what is it that you want to call in that would look like more freedom? As a freedom entrepreneur, who are you being? You have to define how you want to show up to yourself and to the world now that you're literally reinventing yourself. So you have to create your North Star. And a few examples here. For me, a big element of freedom, as you know, is location independence. And location independence for me doesn't necessarily mean that I want to be a digital nomad for the rest of my life. God, no, I want to buy my own mattress. Right now, I don't own a mattress because I travel perpetually without a permanent home. But location independence is woven into the very DNA of my business. There's nothing that you'll see me do in my business that would tie me to one location, not in my tax strategy, not in my business registration, and certainly not in the way I deliver my offers. For one of my clients, she is currently in the phase of her life where she is prepping to have a family, right? Her and her partner really want to build a family. They want to have a family and want to have children. So that's part of her North Star to consider inside her business. And plainly said, just to give a strategy example here, having a whole bunch of one-on-one clients is not going to work for her when and if she is a new mom for obvious time-restrained reasons. Another one of my clients really wants to essentially create financial independence and retire early. The acronym that we all know is FIRE, right? And here we look at, okay, well, how can we get you to the point of creating passive income, not just through your investments, but also from inside your business as quickly as possible, whilst making sure that everything that you want to be true about your lifestyle becomes true thanks to your business, and whilst your business really takes a stance in the world for your values and for your purpose. So this brings me to the second FIRE entrepreneurship ingredient, and that is purpose. Now, you would have heard someone in this field talk about, what is your business mission? Absolutely. You need to have a mission statement. Like, it has to make sense what you do to someone else in the world. And that usually is something that grows from a mission statement. I think of your mission statement, well, I think less so of your mission statement and much more so of your purpose statement. So whereas the first ingredient, the define, is all about you, is all about your ideal lifestyle, is all about who do you want to be, is all about what is it that you want to create for yourself in the world, and how can you build a business that supports that lifestyle. The second ingredient, purpose, looks beyond yourself. We're now looking at who do you want to serve, how do you serve people, and why does this matter? We're now essentially looking at how will your business change the world for the better? Why does what you do matter? Especially in today's world where a lot of our freedoms, even in what we would consider to be the free world, are being restrained, are being threatened, are being questioned by those in political leadership. We as an entrepreneur really have to take a look at, well, I'm clear now on why I want to become an entrepreneur for myself, because I want to have more freedom, more financial, more location, more time, more choice freedom. But why does this matter to your clients? Who is it that should care about your business and why? So this is where that sense of creating a purpose statement, not just a mission statement that helps you grow your business, comes from, but that true sense of what are you all about? Who do you work with? And why does this matter to you? And then the big question, how is this going to change the world for a better? In my world, in Way of the Founder, everything comes down to these first two ingredients. You have to define what freedom means to you in order to build a structure and a strategy around that so that the business becomes a sustainable one for you to run. And you have to look at the bigger purpose of your business. This is what all of your offers come down to. This is what all of your marketing, your messaging, your brand, your content comes down to. And just to be very clear, and in case you haven't picked up on this yet, we're big believers in passive income here at Way of the Founder. We're big believers on making a shitload of money for you to fund the change you want to see in your life and the change you want to see in your world. But your business purpose, your purpose statement can't be about money. It's perfectly legitimate for you to say, I want to become an entrepreneur because I want to become a millionaire. 100%. This is not about money, but your business purpose must be much bigger than your lifestyle, must be much bigger than your money. So who are you doing this all for, and why does it matter? The third ingredient is structure. This is where we begin to bring the vision. This is where we begin to bring the purpose alive. See, my business model may not work for you. I don't want you to copycat on my business model. If my business model one-to-one will work for you, absolutely, go ahead and copy it. But only if it's going to work for you, for your energetics, for your body, if you're someone who has a period, for your cycle, and of course for your ideal future and your ideal lifestyle. My business looks very different from the business of my coaches and mentors. And that's by design. My mentors and coaches are different humans. They're separate humans. They live different lives than I do. But structure really comes down to how do you structure your business to bring the purpose alive? And how do you structure the business in a way that stays fully true to your purpose while providing you with the lifestyle, with the type of freedom that you have decided you want. So let's talk about the offers. How does a freedom structure show up in your offers? Well, when I work with people who are new to entrepreneurship, I always have them build out two types of offers to begin with. One is an audience building offer and one is a money making offer. In other words, the audience building offer is supposed to be an introduction to you, a highly valuable offer that your audience, that you know the people you want to serve will want, will need, will find transformation and value inside of. The price point of that offer is supposed to be low. It's supposed to be no-brainer so that you can build an audience that loves you, that trusts your process and sees value for themselves inside that process. The moneymaker, again, this is for those who are in the beginning stages of building their business. The moneymaker offer is exactly what it says. It's typically a high ticket offer where you begin to work with people one-on-one so that you can get your market research paid for, so that you can get proof of concept, so that you can understand, I like this, I don't like this, I want to work with this type of person, but not with this type of person. Bringing this alive in my offers works for me, and you're getting yourself paid generously for that initial experience so that you can begin to make money fast. In fact, this is one of my core beliefs. You have to get to the money fast. As an entrepreneur, you have to get to the money fast. Even if you're 5 years into building your business, if you have an idea, you have to get to execution fast in order to figure out if this is something that you want to dedicate resources to or not. Beyond these two core offers, every single offer that you build has to sort of go through two litmus tests. One is the way in which you bring this offer alive going to give you more of the freedom that you want? And B, is this business going to help you make good on your business purpose? If either one of the answers to these two questions is no, you have to make a change. Otherwise, it's not going to work for you. Another way, when it comes to freedom structure, you have to consider building a business in a way, building out your offers in a way that supports your sense of freedom and business's sense of purpose. Building a structure that serves both your mission and can scale to a place where your offers are essentially nurturing your clients on your behalf, aka contribute to client retention. It's almost intangible, but it's such a clear and beautiful and not often talked about way of building a freedom business. In other ways, if you want to build out a business, just to be really clear on this and sort of introduce a third element to structure here, right? Like, does it support your sense of freedom? Does it support your sense of purpose, your stated business purpose? And does it contribute to your client journey? Does it contribute to the problems that your clients have? Does your business, do your offers contribute to, from a business perspective, to retention? And this is really what I mean by client journey. Do your offers sort of create a natural progression, a natural journey for your clients to move through? I always think of my business as though it's a big hotel, right? I invite people into the hotel, and once they've decided, I want to just get the standard room, or no, I want to get the deluxe room. Now they have different places to go to inside the hotel. If they're in need of food, well, there is a restaurant. If they're in need of a nice drink, there is another restaurant, right? So offers inside the freedom business, offers that are a part of the freedom structure, they support different problems along the same client journey that you have laid out based on your business purpose. So the fourth ingredient for your freedom business is connection. You want to build a community or a tribe, not an audience. You want to build a brand, not a following. And you want to sell, not to sell, but from a place of leadership and service. When we talk about connection, we talk about building your community. We talk about building an audience that buys. We talk about learning to sell without being sleazy. And we talk about long-term growth, right? It's easy to pick up a sales strategy that works once on a person. It takes a bit more finessing. It takes a bit more of really allowing yourself to speak from your most authentic core values and integrity, and use that as the foundation to sell and build your audience, aka build a community that truly trusts in your process, trusts in your integrity, and trusts that they too can create the dream that you sell. So here I talk a lot about creating clients without social media. Don't get me wrong, you need social media, and there is a big part of learning how to show up on social media in a way that makes sense for the platform, and more importantly, in a way that really builds a brand. But let me be clear, and please hear me when I say this. At any given point in your business journey, at the very beginning, when you've made $0 and years down the line, when you've made hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can always create 10 clients without social media. And I find that so important to learn how to talk to a human, how to connect one-on-one to another soul in a way that truly serves that soul. And if you as a business owner know you can help that soul, for you to offer your service, that is such a core skill, such a fundamental skill that not enough business mentors and coaches talk about, and that not enough business owners truly have learned to master. You want to build a brand around your mission, around your purpose, that draws in the right people. In other words, if you hear content creators talk about 5 ways to go viral, we don't want to go viral. Absolutely, you want to grow the number of eyeballs on your brand, 100%. But you want to grow it with the right people. This is what I mean when I say you want to grow an audience that actually buys, and not just an audience that looks really fancy. You want to learn how to create partnerships with colleagues in this field, with colleagues who can open a door for you that can lead to really big opportunities, whether this is a podcast guest interview or a slot at a conference to speak to hundreds of thousands of people, depending on the podcast, depending on the conference, depending on the platform. That partnerships that you create with colleagues can open the door to for you. And you want to build client relationships that last, right? You can't make good on a bigger purpose that your business is supposed to serve to the world if you run a sales strategy where you constantly are on the lookout for new audiences or for new clients and never really focus on client retention. So when I say connection, a big piece of this is learning how to truly serve and nurture your client from point A to point Z on their client journey, and invite them to really stay with you for the long term if they determine that what you have to offer is what they need, and if they determine that what they want they can get from you. We're building true and genuine relationships all throughout the entire world of freedom entrepreneurship, whether this is with a colleague, with an audience member, with someone who can open the door for you, or of course indeed with your clients. And finally, the fifth and most intangible, the least talked about and the most transformational ingredient to being a freedom entrepreneur in my eyes is healing. Yes, you heard me right. Healing in my eyes is a freedom strategy. It's an absolute must to any entrepreneur, and it is one of the most rewarding journeys to take yourself on. So what do I mean by that? And why is this important? I'll actually start with that second question. Why is this important? Well, I can tell you that for me, as a coach, I was trained through the lens of spiritual psychology. Just my baseline coach training stems from spiritual psychology. And within that school of thought, we believe, and I believe truly at my core, that the way you relate to one thing is the way you relate to everything. Meaning the way you relate to your dad is the way you relate to clients in your business. The way you relate to your romantic partner is the way you relate to partners in the field. The way you relate to food is the way you relate to money. Everything comes down to relationships, and every relationship that you have in your life has one common denominator, and that is you and the relationship you have to yourself. And that self relationship is determined by societal conditioning. It's determined by generational trauma and patterns. It's determined by your relationship to your parents or your primary caregivers. It comes down to who you were taught to, who you were conditioned to be by every single or on every single day leading up to today. Now, when we think of trauma, oftentimes we think of trauma or we think of things that happened in our childhood. But I truly mean things that happened, things that conditioned you, things that elicited a reaction from you, from your soul, from your brain, from your heart on every single day, from day one when you were born all the way until yesterday or the minute prior to when you started listening to this episode. And with that core belief comes the sense of, okay, if you keep coming up against the same problem in your business, and we've looked at the strategy and the strategy is solid, the strategy is sound, the way you engage with your clients is sound, but it's still not working for you, it's likely not a business problem, it's likely not a strategy problem, it's likely a problem that is much bigger and shows up everywhere else in your life. And then the first question that I asked, well, why is this important to me? Well, I personally have experienced so many roadblocks in my business that, again, weren't actually strategy problems, but they were relationship problems. They were old stories showing up and thus running the show in my business that I simply couldn't help but find so much value for my business inside of therapy, that I couldn't help but find so much freedom inside learning how to truly embody forgiveness. And there was so much business success, so much exponential business growth that has come from reconciling my relationship with my dad, that has come from learning how to de-enmesh my identity with that of my mom's. There's so much growth that has come from how I connect with clients, from healing sexual assault, that, you can't turn an eye. I can't, that I have learned to, and that I've, gotten training and really that I have really learned as a coach and as a guide into freedom entrepreneurship to look at and to focus and to put a big and heavy and loving focus on healing. So this is the place where we look at what are the core beliefs that you picked up as a child, and where are they showing up in your business? And do they lead to the results that you truly and most authentically want to create? And if not, then let's look at what we can do about these beliefs. Let's look at, again, your relationship to your mom, to your dad, generational trauma, to the mindset that subconsciously you grew into through education, high school, college, etc. See, I have had not one client who hasn't brought up their relationship to their mom within weeks of coming to me and beginning to work with me. And there was a reason for that, because the way in which we were relating to life as a child, the way in which life related back to us as a child, typically is the conditioning that's still running the show, unless you learn the necessary tools and processes to decondition your mind, to decondition your soul, and return back to your most authentic self, the authentic self that knows that you are innately and unconditionally loved. And to do business from a sense of conditioned self is way different from doing business from a place of your most authentic, your most loving self. These are the main key ingredients in my eyes to freedom, specifically to freedom entrepreneurship. And throughout this entire podcast, if you stick around and you keep listening to the podcast, you'll find that both in solo and guest episodes, I'll dive deep into all of these 5 ingredients. My mission is truly to provide you with a sense of ownership over your freedom-based business, and to provide you with a sense of possibility, with a sense of this is for me. Freedom is for me. It's not just meant for others. It is for me, and I can do it. I can create it. I feel empowered. I feel inspired to create it. So as always, please let me know how this episode resonated with you, what you take away from it. So I'll leave you with an action step for today as well. And the action is really a freedom audit. Do a freedom audit of your entire life and get really clear on where is it that you would want a little more freedom in your life right now? And which of these 5 freedom levers, defy and define, purpose, structure, connection, and healing, might provide you with even just 5% more freedom in your life right now. Take care. Seize the day. Create more freedom today than you did yesterday. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the podcast, Your Business Untethered, hosted by me, Dina, creator of Way of the Founder. I love hearing from you, so please drop me a DM on Instagram sharing your insights from this episode. And if you are ready to take the leap, my free guides, Plot Your 9-to-5 Escape in 7 days, and the Freedom Business Scorecard are in the show notes for you to grab. This episode created change for you? Please leave a review and be a friend and share this with a friend or colleague that you love. Until next time, please wake every day, seize the day, defy the norm, and create your very own type of freedom. I love you. I do mean it.